No one wanted it this way. Joe Biden is a good man, a good American, a great president. But time and the burden of the office means it's time to step aside, to put a warrior into the political arena, ready to take on Donald Trump, to face up to the un-American plan Trump and Project 2025 will impose. Vice President Kamala Harris is ready, experienced, and as a tough prosecutor, Kamala Harris dealt with men like Trump all the time. Rapists, con men, frauds, criminals. She's used to guys like Trump, used to putting them in their place.
Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America?
Kamala Harris will bring something to Trump he's rarely seen. Justice.
The president steps aside and ends his campaign, but the reactions are all over the place. The country's going through the side effects of Biden's withdrawal on this watch list.
Sick of this? Well, think about this. He's a world leader in temper tantrums. She never loses her cool. She prosecuted sex predators. He is one.
Grab him by the...
She shut down for-profit colleges that swindled Americans. He was a for-profit college.
At Trump University, we teach success.
Literally. He's owned by the big banks. She's the attorney general who beat the biggest banks in America and forced them to pay homeowners $18 billion. He's tearing us apart. She'll bring us together. This is Trump. And in every possible way, this is the anti-Trump. So if that's what you're looking for in your next president, there's really only one. Kamala.
Now that Biden has stepped aside, that Kamala Harris campaign ad from the primaries in the 2020 cycle still applies to her newfound position as the next person up. Even when all signs pointed to him letting go of the idea to continue on, most Democratic allies were split on publicly calling for him to step aside. But now, many are all in for Harris.
I'm endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris because she's ready to step up, bring our party together, go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, and win in November. I have known Kamala Harris since back right after the 2008 crash, when she was Attorney General in California and I was setting up the consumer agency, and we fought shoulder to shoulder to push back against the big banks that were cheating America's homeowners. Kamala has been a ferocious warrior on the issue of abortion, and under Kamala's leadership, we're going to get Roe versus Wade back into law of the land. But the part that's fun to think about is when you're up against a convicted felon, who better than a former prosecutor to take it straight to Donald Trump? I'm here for Kamala because Kamala has been here for the American people year after year after year. She's ready to do this job, and she's going to win.
Elizabeth Warren is all in, and so is Ayanna Pressley.
First and foremost, I just want to take a moment to thank President Biden. Joe Biden has dedicated more than 50 years of service to our nation as a senator, a vice president, and as the 46th president of the United States. And the Biden-Harris White House, I've worked very closely with them. They've been engaged partners who've made real progress for our communities. And I'm deeply grateful for the president's service. I know this is not a decision that he arrives at lightly. I think it's important to hold space for that. And I respect his decision to pass the torch. And I vigorously endorse Kamala Harris. She is a moral and empathetic leader. She is poised, she is prepared, and she is qualified. I'm the chair of the Abortion Rights and Access Task Force in the House. She has been the most effective voice when it comes to abortion justice. We've worked closely on healthcare justice, student debt cancellation, the racial wealth gap. I am confident that Kamala Harris can unite this party and build the coalition necessary for us to win in November.
So while Democrats are seemingly lining up behind the vice president after Biden released a letter announcing his decision to no longer run and endorse her to replace him, some still wondered if this is simply a handoff or if there are other options. But Harris's acceptance suggested a process is in place. On behalf of the American people, I thank Joe Biden for his extraordinary leadership as President of the United States and for his decades of service to our country. I'm honored to have the president's endorsement, and my intention is to earn and win this nomination. Her intention is to earn and win the nomination, which apparently began immediately after she received the news, resulting in bringing in nearly $50 million in fundraising dollars. So the next question is how Republicans would respond.
The most telling thing about how positive this may be for the Democratic Party is the Republican response. Earlier this morning, Newt Gingrich was going on Twitter talking about how this is a violation of democracy. It's shocking and stunning that they're delegitimizing the votes of 14,500,000 Democrats. You then, of course, have Mike Johnson going around saying that he's going to do everything he can to try to nullify this, despite the fact Democrats even had their convention yet. So he's standing on no ground at all.
Angry Republicans have been making appearances and posting about how unfair and seemingly illegal they think it is for the Democratic candidate to drop out. Maybe because they've already formed their entire campaign around running against an elderly man from Delaware. So with the RNC just wrapping up, they didn't get the chance to applaud speeches about how much they hate Harris for having the nerve to do anything else except for those black jobs that they've relegated for her.
I've also had a good bit of reporting deep inside the Trump camp that this is the one thing that he feared. Donald Trump has always considered himself to be the ultimate disruptor. And for the first time, not just in his political life, but the first time in his media life, in his professional life, the disruption is on the other side. And Donald Trump is not disrupting, and people are not having to respond to the shocking turn of events from him for once. Now Trump and his campaign team are going to have to respond to this shocking turn of events, and they're not happy about it at all. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of Trump's acolytes in politics and the media coming out and bitterly complaining about this.
You would think that with Harris taking the reins, Republicans could simply apply the same opposition to policy that they voiced against Biden. I mean, she's the vice president of the same administration that they're running against. But they're not running on policy. They're running on character assassination, fear tactics, and their often celebrated march towards fascism. RNC attendees only got to cheer on authoritarian leaders like Viktor Orban, Vladimir Putin, and Kim Jong-un. The hatred towards minorities, the LGBTQ community, migrants, and women were there, but they must be pissed that they couldn't directly attack Harris in front of an adoring crowd. They're stuck looking like assholes on TV pushing the same empty rhetoric about her.
She had disastrous staff turnover as vice president. I check it on the daily. Her public schedule, gentlemen, rarely has anything on it, or one or two things on it. She does not speak well. She does not work hard.
All right, so
she doesn't inspire
Kellyanne, let me
anyone.
ask you.
And she should not be the standard bearer for the party.
Here's just one reason that voters seem to detest Kamala Harris. You decide.
Okay, so
You are special. You know,
And is that a socialist or progressive perspective?
No. I thought we were supposed to conserve things. I couldn't reconcile it. Now I can.
Yes, you're giggling, Vice President.
So after years of going after Biden and his age and ability to do really anything, these guys couldn't come up with something more effective about the vice president than we don't like the way she laughs. Yes, I figured it adds to the Republican argument that women should be seen and not heard, but I guess she really wasn't on their radar because Trump posted this. So we're forced to spend time and money on fighting crooked Joe Biden. He polls badly after having a terrible debate and quits the race. Now we have to start all over again. Shouldn't the Republican Party be reimbursed for fraud in that everybody around Joe, including his doctors and the fake news media, knew he was not capable of running for or being president? Just asking. I don't know why he put a question mark at the end, but still, this guy's letting everyone know that his campaign wasn't prepared to take on the vice president of the administration that they're running against. They had a full plan in place to go after an old man, hoping they wouldn't have to go with the more off-putting plan of calling her misogynistic names and racial slurs. They're really angry about being forced deeper into their bigotry.
They held a primary. People, they had ballots. They filled out circles. They went to the voting booths. They spent money on advertisements. And as President Trump said, the Republican Party spent tens of millions of dollars running against Joe Biden. Now they just woke up one morning and said, never mind, we're canceling the entire primary. We're getting rid of our candidate, and we're pretending the election has never even happened, and we're going to let donors handpick a new nominee.
It's okay, Stephen. All you have to do is promote your agenda that helps Americans and shows that you're in favor of representing life, freedom, and opportunities for everyone to have a shot at prosperity. It shouldn't be that hard. But since they now seem to be worried about facing a nominee that can speak more easily on the authoritarian regime that they're openly planning to install, they'll have to rely more on people like Moses Mike Johnson to complain about it.
Remember, Jake, Joe Biden was chosen after a long, small d democratic process by 14 million people emerging through that primary. It will be very interesting to see if the so-called party of democracy, the Democrats, go into a back room somewhere and switch it out and put someone else at the top of the ticket. You know, it was interesting. I listened to the Joe Manchin's interview, which was compelling at the opening of the show, and he made the point that this is not his father's Democrat Party. It's not the party he knew as a young man. He wanted them to be sensible and moderate, and they aren't anymore, and that's why he left the party. We're seeing that across the board. We have a demographic shift going on in the country right now with a record number of Hispanic and Latino voters and black voters, African-American voters, the Jewish community coming into the Republican Party because they're looking for answers to all these great challenges facing the country, and they feel like the woke progressive left has taken the Democrat Party way over the edge. They have, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris helped engineer that, and I think they're responsible for it.